Next test I'm going to demonstrate is a dependent samples t-test. The difference between this and the independent samples t-test is that the two variables being measured may or may not be dependent on each other. In the independent samples, they definitely were not dependent on each other. This one, we can't say that for sure. I'll give you the example. A worker for a national polling organization was charged with the task of surveying the public to determine which issue was more important to the voters, the economy or national security. 25 potential voters were asked to indicate the importance of each of the two issues on a 1 to 7 scale, where 1 was not important and 7 was extremely important. The independent variable is the voter issue, economy or national security. There's two of them. The dependent variable is the importance rating. What we're going to test here is whether the mean of the two related groups differ significantly on some independent variable of interest. What we need for this particular one is an independent variable with two related groups or categories and one continuous dependent variable. So this is the two variables, the independent variable of two related groups, how people feel about the economy or the national security. The continuous dependent variable is the importance scores. We're going to run this the exact same way we did the last test, and that's using a paired t-test. The null hypothesis in this case is that there is no difference between the importance score for economy compared to the importance score for national security. The alternative hypothesis is there is a difference between the two. To run this in Excel, we'll go to Data, Data Analysis. We're going to again run this paired two-sample test for means. The data range for variable 1 is going to be all the scores for economy. The data range for variable 2 is going to be all the scores for national security. This time, what I'm doing is I've changed where I want the output put, so I'm going to be able to see it on the same page and not have it on a different sheet. Click OK, and it comes out here. And I'm going to expand these columns a little bit so it's a little bit easier to read what it's doing. And if you look, it says it's a two-sample test, t-test. The mean for the economy is 5.76. The mean for national security is a 4.6. Now that's really a close score, so it's kind of hard to tell just by eyeballing it if one's going to be more important than the other. But if you go down, again, this is a two-tailed test since it's comparing two and just wanting to know if they're equal or not. So that tells me that we're looking at a case of 0.004 or 0.4% chance that this is randomness or that our sample is not comparable to our population. And in that case, that less than 1% means that we can toss out the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis was that there's no difference between the two, and the alternate hypothesis is there is a difference between the two. Statistically speaking, there's enough difference, it's significant enough that yes, there's a difference between how people felt about the economy compared to how people felt about national security. This is another example of a paired t-test.